Man, I love that graphic. So let's jump into the HR weather. And this week, there's a storm brewing around the concept of unlimited PTO. And I know this is an old conversation, but recently there's been a resurgence of it. So I wanted to give my opinion. So here's my take on unlimited PTO. It's a scam for employees. Here's why. The data clearly shows that employees often end up taking way less days in unlimited PTO models because they're unsure what's safe to take. It's usually because the company policies are inconsistent or unclear. And what happens is some employees will take advantage of it, which they should, and others just feel they can't based on the environment. So, this leads to resentment, unequal workloads. And don't get me wrong, I get why employers do it. It's a cost saving. Unlike traditional PTO models, there is no obligation to pay out unused vacations. And I know the law is changing on that in different states, and here in Canada, it's not the case. The other thing is companies say that they value work life balance. Do they really? Like, I don't know. Let's face it, for most companies, it's just lip service. So, if the culture doesn't truly support work life balance, employees end up feeling really guilty about taking any time off. So, for a better forecast, employers ditch the unlimited PTO, go back to a more traditional PTO model, and make sure that your employees are taking their days. And for employees, I know is really exciting. The first time that you get an offer with unlimited PTO in it, and you've never had that, but don't fall prey to the con. So that's it for the HR weather. Let's get back to the panel.
Wow.
Huh.
Crispy in
What's
here with this fall weather coming in, especially up north. And yeah, I mean, this PTO thing. I mean, I love that angle of it too. I mean, it's like, is it the employers saying, you know what, this will absolve us for having to pay out, and
yeah.
we know that people aren't going to take them all, and it also makes you feel good that you can take. But the truth is, like, you can't come into a new role, and I say all the time, like when I talk to candidates, I'm like, they have unlimited PTO. That does not mean you come in on week one and be like, hey, brah, I'm taking the next 2 weeks off. Like that's not
Bruh.
the way it works, right?
Yeah.
You need to earn it. You need to put in some time, unless you have pre-scheduled things, weddings, and all that kind of stuff. But it's your responsibility to take it. But how do employers manage that with folks taking advantage of it? That was always kind of my thing on it. That was kind of like the self-imposed limit. Like I don't know if I feel like I should take it. Am I taking too much? Am I taking too
Mm.
little?
Well, it kind of goes to the conversation that we're talking about taking sick days, right? Is unlimited PTO the replacement of sick days in some ways? And does
It's all catch all, right?
yeah, like Danielle, like how do you feel about like Gen Z unlimited PTO has been the norm coming up in their career? When you see a job offer that doesn't have unlimited PTO,
Mhm.
do you see it as a disadvantage or an advantage?
I actually don't see it as a disadvantage because with unlimited PTO, people tend to take less time off.
Yeah.
And so I almost see that as a bit of a red flag. Like there has to be a little bit more digging. What I see as green flags are if companies have mental health days, if they have
Mm.
additional, types of days, or if they just kind of put it all together within one. I don't know if I would see that as a green flag, but I am seeing the trend of companies putting everything together as one, whether it be sick days, bereavement, vacation days, et cetera. And I think that might be on the rise as a trend. But yeah, no, I don't think unlimited PTO is like such a great thing that we
Hmm.
maybe thought it was previously.
I thought it was great. The first time that I got an offer with limited PTO, I'm like, it's amazing. I'm going to take the summer off. I'm going to go wake surf. But I guess that's not really what happened. And I learned that really quickly because
Yeah,
no one was taking any PTOs.
No,
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I can't take it if no one else is. You just feel guilty about it.
it's fascinating. Joel, what do you think?
I think completely the opposite, but
Okay.
Mm,
only because it's like if the issue if the company is having an issue with unlimited PTO, there's deeper issues there. So it doesn't even matter if you had 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. No one's going to take off regardless. In my experience, unlimited PTO has been amazing. I didn't have to ask my supervisor to take off. It was literally like, hey, I'm taking off these dates.
Yeah.
Great. Super easy. We're not keeping track of anything.
Mm.
Both companies I've worked at that had unlimited PTO, people were taking time off. It was encouraged. Leadership was taking time
Yeah.
off. Shout out to Hirewell. Shout out to Titus Talent Strategies. Both those companies, the CEOs would take time off, and they had good cultures. So even if they did have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, people would take advantage of it because the leadership was leading. That's what it comes down to. If you're worried about companies screwing you over with unlimited PTO, they're going to screw you over with a bunch of other stuff. And that means that through the interview process, you got to vet that company out better. You should be asking questions like,
Right.
"Yeah, I
Great.
see you got unlimited PTO. Tell me
Yeah.
about how people are using this." If they're like, "Oh my god, I haven't taken off for 2 years," then that is a red flag.
That's how we
But
got Joel on the show. I love that take, man. That's spot on too, and that's great advice for anyone in the interview process too. Like, that's a great question to ask.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
great benefit that you have.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just ask you, if you don't mind me asking, when's the last time you took off, and how
yeah,
long?
I think that question can be a little bit sensitive, like asking somebody
how you-
specifically
okay,
when
fine.
they
Yeah.
took off. But
That's a
just
little
saying,
bit of
like,
a red flag.
how
asked
is
the
this
wrong
used
way.
as a benefit? Tell me about that
Oh,
process.
so you want to take off right away? Is that the first thing you're concerned about? Is your time off?
Exactly. Exactly.
Work-life balance is more important than working? What?
Yeah,
I-
some balance
I'm
here.
not going to take Joel's opinion because he is unemployable, so it doesn't matter what he's got to say, right?
Now I just take off all day, every day.
All
So
day, yeah. Just
unlimited
slacking off,
PTO.
slacker.
That's right.
Perfect.
Hey,
Thanks,
someone said
guys.
I'm awesome, but I can't see who it is. It's a LinkedIn
That's
user.
nice.
So
Who
it's
is it?
probably White
All
Evan
right.
again.
Who are you paying
Probably,
off?
it's probably just your wife that
Yeah.
saying stuff like that.
My wife does not think LinkedIn is cool, just so you guys know.
Well,
or
I mean,
anything I do.
she, if it covers your bills, right? Like, I think she's cool.
She hasn't seen my content, so
It's true. Well,
Mm.
that was a great look. I think, like you said, a lot of these topics, like, I don't care if they've been talked about before. They're relevant because people are still dealing with these issues. So I
Yep.
love it.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
that's a crispy.
awesome.
Serge, thank you for the weather, and we appreciate you. And we'll catch you next week for another hot take in these crispy days.
Appreciate you guys.